Hey, how are we doing, everybody? This is a presentation for Module 2. It was labeled Becoming an Online Teacher. And in this presentation, I'll be going through the material that I've learned on the module. First off, my name is Joseph McCulick. I am a technology education teacher. And this is ACTE 630. Okay, so let's go to our first intro slide here. So yes, slide one, what we had to do is just find out who we were and just gave that information to the class. So my name is Joe McCulick. I'm an 18-year public school teacher at Stroudsburg School District. I am a technology and engineering education teacher. In the past, I have done several different clubs, such as TSA, the Technology Student Association. Also, I have completed and done as an advisor the STEM Club as well. And I also plan on doing that as well this year, too. In the past, I have done many different types of curriculum writing for my department. Our department basically has some older education curriculum that we need to go back and redo and revamp, especially with our subject area is technology. So it's a constant process of revision and also rewriting. And I am also the department head in my department for technology education as well. As far as prior schooling, I went to Millersville University in 2003 is when I graduated with a degree in technology education. I do have three daughters. Their names are Makuna, Nala, and Simba. Woof woof. And also, what else do I like to do? Well, I love renovating houses. I explained that in our intro video from the Flipgrid. I just love taking an old house or even a newer house that needs a total renovation and just redoing it. I have done that so far out to two homes already. So I also enjoy teaching others how to fix things and create things. And also, as you probably can come up with, I do love hands-on learning. And my classroom is just, it's a class where it's just a lot of hands-on, and the kids just absolutely love it. So let's go ahead and go into slide number 2. Okay. So for this week, Ali had us reading a couple different resources. The first resource that we were looking at and I learned about and just went through the material was from Stephen Moskowitz. Okay. It was the first reading. And the resource article allowed us to take a look at and examine the many different experiences, skills, and qualities needed to become an effective online teacher. So I guess what I want to do now is just kind of go through these bullet points here that I have written down here. I'll try to go through them kind of quickly, okay? So on the left-hand side, we have online learning, which means what are some of my past online learning moments and experiences? Well, I've had different courses for graduate credits throughout the universities the past 18 years. I have also have done Act 48 requirements for school district professional development opportunities. We had just different Act 48 days where the kids are at home and the teachers are in school getting training. We also had required once a month we have these meetings called TLT meetings. It stands for Technology Lead Teachers. And basically, you have several different teachers that are become like leaders of a group of people, and they teach them the different types of technology tools that are available online that we can use and implement in our classrooms. Also, just that last bullet point there says observations. So yeah, so I messed around and played with things on the internet as far as observation, exploring online content on my own, just so maybe I can get some good ideas so I can implement it in my classroom. So that takes care of the online learning aspect from my standpoint. As far as online teaching goes, you know, uh, I mean, for us in our school district, we're kind of new to it. One saving grace that I think was great is that we started converting over to online in about 2018. So this was pre-pandemic. So a couple bullet points I have on here is I created my first Google Classroom in 2018. Basically, it was just me compiling all different materials and resources and pictures and just all different types of lessons and that. And I put them out on Google Classroom and just arranged them and just tried to make it like a rough copy, so to speak. I worked on it throughout the year while teaching. There was no set deadline when to have that done. We just spent the whole year just, learning the Google Suite and the Google Classroom. Okay. So, yeah, next bullet point says in 2019, I finally implemented my first Google Classroom, which means I actually used it in class. I didn't use it in all my classes, just in some. Um, it says here, online taught using my 6 developed Google Classrooms during the pandemic of 20 and 2021. So, yeah, I mean, we really got a good jump on this before the pandemic started. And it just seems like most school districts across the country have really gravitated towards, using the entire Google Suite opportunity that's there. Yeah, obviously, it's free, and you got a lot of memory that you can use off on the cloud based and all that. So, I mean, it's just they have really nice tools. They have a good product, and it's absolutely free. So, our school district obviously took advantage of it. But yeah, in 2020, 21 is, where I really took off with, teaching online, just like everybody else throughout the state of Pennsylvania when we shut down last March, and then, also last year as well. So, let's see. Next bullet point here, I said train teachers. Yeah, so I trained teachers on how to use this LMS, which was called a LJ Create. Basically, it's a technology education online cloud-based platform where you put the students' names in there, you form a class, you give them a login, password, all that stuff, and then they can go through different types of technology content. We did have to pay for that. That was not free, but it was a very valuable and useful tool. Up next, the last section, bullet point there says Google Meet delivery of lessons and instruction. Yes, so I have, I've delivered my instruction during the pandemic of 2021, through Google Meet. Okay, so that takes care of slide 2. We're going to head over to slide 3. Slide 3 was an online skills checklist that there a resource article from Maskowitz where we kind of went through and just did a little assessment of where we're at with online skills that we currently have versus online skills that I currently need to work on. Okay, so I guess I'll go through this here from the left hand side. So I felt like I'm pretty good with course content designing. Like I said, I'm a curriculum writer for my district. I feel pretty comfortable with that. I am pretty creative. I am engaging and able to relate to students mostly, mostly all times. I am a motivated teacher for sure. I am constantly tweaking and modifying and changing content and just trying to make things, for my students become more, engaging for them. Kids get bored fast, so, it's not easy to keep them totally engaged all the times. You have to keep changing and reinventing the wheel to make the lesson as best as it can be. Communication, I feel like I'm a pretty decent communicator. Evaluating and changing things to make it better. We talked about that already. And then applying the theory to the application. That's crucial in my tech ed class. It's really, we take basically theory. We learn, theory through the lessons and, instruction and that, but then we actually apply it by making projects in class. And that's a great thing about technology and technology education and engineering education. It's just an awesome thing. And kids just come alive when you see them actually, taking what they learned and applying it to today. So over here on the far right, online skills needed. So yeah, I can always beef up and work on my coaching skills. I think that was an area where I kind of needed a little more work in, especially during the pandemic with teaching online. Um, Anticipate students' needs and recognize the challenges and the obstacles that they face. That's one that I thought, I could probably work on as well. I'm always looking for engaging new activities, so I put that on here as well. Definitely, here's one for anyone who's a veteran teacher like myself. The online platform that we have gone through with this pandemic and transferring over into online teaching. Myself, for one, I'm 18 years in the game, and I consider myself a pretty good expert in the field. However, now that, we're switching over to online, for myself, when I was reading this Maskowitz's resource that Ali had us read, I would say definitely. I really have to go back and reconsider the meaning of what becoming an expert means. So that was a quote that really came out to me and jumped out alive. Time is always a big one. Ongoing hours. It's just so much time in a day. So that's when you can always work on interact with groups of students. So I never really have that much experience with pulling kids out online into different groups and different chat rooms and that kind of stuff. I want to work with that a little bit this current school year. Timely feedback. I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes, just because I get so many students in a school year. I have over 500 kids a year, and I need to work on how to grade faster, easier, more efficiently. Asking the right questions. Yeah, when you're an online teacher, that's a tough one. You need to be able to work through and try to find the right questions to ask students. Being that they're not in front of you, it's just hard not to, it's hard to judge and see where they're at with what you're teaching. So I would like to work on that a little bit, and then monitoring for understanding. I put that on there as well. Okay, so one thing I did want to add, I believe, if I look at my notes here, I did want to add a quote. Um, Online teachers not only need an excellent grasp of the given content area, but also an appreciation for how technology and the online environment affect what they're attempting to teach. And we saw that with the pandemic. Depends on the environment that these kids are in. Will depend on how much success they will have as well. So that was a quote in the Maskowitz article that I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Slide 4. So slide 4, it's labeled up top, the qualities and roles of an effective teacher. This was also another um, area that we looked at in the Moskowitz's resource. And the roles of an effective teacher basically are the 5 that you see up top there. So we have dedication, motivation. Are you flexible? How are you with organization? What's your passion and what's your patience look like? So, and then we had to compare those, okay, to what it looked like face to face versus online. Okay, so the first one here, dedication, motivation. The big one here that I have listed is that when you're an online teacher, it's really a lot of non-traditional hours. Depending on how your school district set it up last year during the pandemic, we were pretty flexible. We had a regular school day, but then we had like office hours and things like that. So, it seemed like, it was a longer school day in some aspects. There was a lot of independent work, and non-traditional hours were two that really stuck out to me versus face to face. All right, up next, flexibility. Yeah, you need to be flexible. Maybe not 24/7, but I have kids handing in assignments like 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, I'm wondering what they're doing up, but they were doing the work. So you need to be flexible. You need to communicate more frequently. That was definitely a big one that I noticed with the pandemic with online teaching. You have different kids coming in and out, asking questions, and it's just it's a lot to juggle. So and then often I found myself changing the pace of my curriculum and how I was teaching it. Whereas in the face-to-face situation, those some of those issues don't actually occur, or they're not as abrupt as they are in online format. As far as organization, you must be highly organized whether you're a face-to-face or an online teacher. But really, constantly monitoring discussions and feedback announcements, and just doing different types of housekeeping tasks. I felt like that really stuck out during the online portion of teaching compared to face-to-face. All right, the next one, passion. Yeah, you got to have passion and love for what you teach. If you do not, your students are going to see that immediately. And I know we all have sections and subjects and units that maybe we don't care for as much when we teach, but the overall passion, yeah, you need to have to be an effective teacher is very, very important. So I think that as an online teacher, it's even more important because the kids aren't even in front of you, so you really got to go the extra mile to try to satisfy that. So I have on here, motivate and energize the students. Sometimes it's hard to connect with the online learners, of course. Um, because they're not in front of you. So that was a lot different than face to face. Okay, last one, patience. Yes, you need to react and adjust to unexpected issues and situations more frequently. I mean, how much patience did all of us teachers need to have the last year and a half with the pandemic? I mean, it's just been crazy as far as just, we feel like we put all this time in. I know I did. And, it was just for, a fraction of the quality for a little while there, just because we had so many issues with, kids logging in and internet speeds. And, one of the things that I found out that was a struggle too was not necessarily teaching the content, but teaching kids how to use the technology at first and then teaching them the content. So that's a look at the qualities and roles of an effective teacher on slide 4. Let's see. Next one, slide 5. Okay, slide 5 was about the challenges of an online teaching. Okay, and this was the different resource that Ali had us use, and also we had the cyber video as well. So I'm going to tie those in here on this last slide. So the challenges of online teaching. Um, Current online teaching challenges for myself include, well, we all have challenges with online teaching. If you don't, then that's good for you. Okay, but in this article here by Leanna Archibald, we looked at those. Okay, and the article was about how to identify and address teaching and challenges in the K through 12 online environment. So let me go through these bullet points here, and then we'll wrap this up. Okay. So yeah, time. I mean, I'm sure almost everyone that's in this online class of ours here is going to have that one down, because time is always a factor in everything with teaching. I mean, there's never enough time. Okay, you can spend 2 hours after school every day, and it can easily go to 3 hours and 4 hours. So you got to limit yourself, but time, is a big one. It takes more time than face to face. I would say, I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, the resources and things that I had to create, I had paper copies of all this stuff, and I had to go ahead and type it all out and post it on the Google Classroom. So I had to essentially like redo everything that I had, even though I had it created. We had to make it in digital format. So that was tough. And so more prep work and decision making, a lot of explaining and feedback and planning occurred with the online more. I think it was definitely more of a challenge for myself. Grading and discussions definitely increased as well. Content design, and then learning the technology management system. Okay, so like I said earlier, teaching the kids how to use the LMS first, how to log on to Google Classroom, how to get through Google Meet, how to ask a question on there, just like teaching them the actual technology first. It took us weeks for them to get used to. Okay, all right. So the next issue, I thought student issues was another one that I thought was something I would put on here for a challenge. Some students are struggling online. Okay, at home issues, maybe at home, maybe they're in a poor environment. When I was online teaching all of last year, there's background noise, kids scream in the background, TV's on. Just not the best environment for the kid. Like, they should be in a room with, where they have like privacy and that. And it was just, there's a lot of kids that just were just out in the middle of the house, so now that was a tough one. Kids' attention spans are always, it's always a struggle, no matter if they're in front of you or online. I feel like even online, it's even worse with the attention span. And then student issues with behavior, kids not logging in, kids not paying attention, kids saying inappropriate things. That was a challenge the past year and a half of teaching online. Lack of routine. We have kids that are out of routine. They would come on and online for one day, they'd be gone for 2 days, come back on Friday, they'd be gone again till the following week. Just not enough routine there. I think that was a big struggle. And just other different distractions, such as internet connections, things like that. Okay. All right. Okay. Last two, ability to meet all diverse needs of the class. Well, whether it's face to face or online, obviously, that's not easy to satisfy all the diverse needs of the class. I felt like being an online teacher was like multiplied. And one of the big reasons also for me personally was that I didn't have all my IEP modifications all in electronic format. So, if I had to make a quiz or, some type of handout, I had to, type it, for the regular education kids and then go back in and save a new document, modify and change it for an IEP kid. And I had to do that for all my units. It was just so much work. And I just, it go back to that time figure again. Time really was the one that would, didn't help me out there as far as meeting all the diverse needs of the class. Lack of resources or technology also is another challenge if the students do not have that. Excuse me. Last bullet point. Not all students are technology literate. They lack the technology, possibly. They lack the technology skills. Maybe they're in a poor environment. Maybe they're low income. Maybe they're slow learners of technology. Um, Maybe they just lack motivation. Sorry, guys, I had to take a drink there. So, yeah, I mean, that's one that's really can hang us up as teachers, those kids that are just not literate enough to use the technology or, whatever it may be. So I did want to go ahead and just provide two little quotes here at the end that I thought were pretty cool. The first one's at the bottom there where it says, "My online teaching has been a learning process. I have learned so much the past few years with online teaching. So I learn and the students learn, and we try to keep it educational but still fun." So when I read that quote, I was like, bam, that is totally me. And that was well said. That was a little interview in the resource there that we were provided to read. And I just really stuck out with that quote. I was like, man, that is so me. And I just thought, I wanted to share that with you guys here today. Um, Students do have more access to many types of digital learning than ever before. And as we see now with the influx and the increase of so much curriculum and kids and universities and schools that are converting to the online platform, and there's just going to be, just going to be a big increase in growth. And as that increase in growth continues to migrate towards the online platform, the demand for teachers, for the online teacher, is going to continue to climb. So this module, really allowed us to go back and reflect on that and reflect on the skills needed and the qualities needed. And I thought it was pretty useful module. Okay, guys. All right. I'll talk to you, everybody on the post room, and we go to post in our comments. I hope you guys all have a great day today, and stay strong and don't get too wet with Ida coming through. Okay. We'll see you guys.